Hi guys, this is Beth here. Welcome to the Modernized Spirituality podcast. This is a place where we thrive to become the best versions of ourselves. We use manifestation techniques, spirituality and metaphysics for all sorts of self-development. Enjoy!
So if you're listening to this podcast, then you more than likely are able to grasp the concept that fundamentally everything is energy. So all of our thoughts are energy, all of our emotions are energy, all of our memories are energy. That's all they are, is just energy, because they don't exist in a material form, therefore they are just energy. So all of these thoughts, experiences, emotions, because they are energy, energy doesn't just disappear. You cannot destroy energy. Therefore, when we experience these things, sorry, there's an ambulance going past. Is it an ambulance? Yeah, it's an ambulance. When we experience these traumas, obviously the traumas themselves will then lead to thoughts and emotions, and they are stored within our energy field around our body. So, like our auric field or our emotional body or whatever you want to call it. So they are stored. They're still attached to you. There are attachments within your energy field. So if you think about it this way, we only have a certain capacity within our energy field. We can't possibly know everything. We can't feel everything because we only have a certain amount of capacity. We only have a certain amount of ability to, store all of this information. Because that's all it is ultimately, is just bits of information. So because we are holding on to these traumas from the past, if we're saying, even words have energy. So if you're saying things like, oh, I had a really difficult upbringing, or I've gone through a lot of trauma in my life, I've led a horrible life, things always go wrong for me, patterns are always repeating. If you're attached to that idea, then that energy from the thoughts, from the trauma, from the experience is going to remain within your energy field, because you're constantly recycling that energy, and it's just maintaining the momentum within your energy field of that particular emotion. So obviously, if our energy field is filled with all of this trauma, all of these negative emotions, all of these disconnecting thoughts, how are we going to have space for any new experiences, any new emotions, any new thoughts? We're not going to be able to do it. So that's why when you feel so weighed down by all of your trauma that you've gone through, it's really difficult to get yourself out of it and think of these positive thoughts, and it's really difficult to push yourself to do these new experiences because you don't have the energy. You do have the energy, but the energy is taken by the trauma, basically. So you're being infatuated by the trauma and by the experience rather than integrating it. So in order for us to move past this trauma, and in order for us to be able to open ourselves up to new opportunities, which is going to obviously bring better emotions, it's going to bring more positive thoughts, it's going to bring a more fulfilling life, it's going to bring joy and happiness into your life with these new experiences, the only way we can do that is to integrate the past trauma. Now, how do we integrate trauma? So it's not obviously something that's going to happen overnight, it's a process. But what you can start to do is reflect on all of the trauma in the past, look at patterns within your life, look at aspects in your life that you're not happy with, and reflect on them and think if there is a particular lesson that can be learned from that trauma. So, for example, if you went through abuse as a child or something like that, and obviously it's a very traumatic thing, it's quite tragic to go through abuse as a child. However, if you keep telling yourself, or if you keep telling other people, oh, I was abused as a child, I'm a survivor, all of this sort of stuff, that's the identity that you're going to stick with. Now, this kind of relates to the self-limiting beliefs episode that I uploaded recently, which is episode 1, the first episode that I uploaded. So go listen to that one if you're interested on self-limiting beliefs. But once we integrate this trauma, so once you stop identifying as the victim, and once you start identifying as, a leader, as a creator, as the director of your own life, instead of just, like an extra in your own life, then you're going to be able to create these new experiences because you're integrating the trauma. Therefore, you're allowing all of this space for new opportunities to come into fruition. You're allowing all of this empty space to allow seeds to be planted where they couldn't be planted before because it was so filled with all of these fruits from the past, which aren't necessarily positive fruits. So you have to learn the lessons from it. So going back to the abuse example, it can be hard to find, positive things from such tragic events in our lives. However, there is a reason for everything. So with abuse, for example, a lot of people go through abuse and suffering to go through such a huge awakening in the future, and all of this trauma, it creates pressure for us to then have to change, and for us to then take the reins of our own life and start to create a life that we want to lead, because we know how bad it is to feel like we're suffering. So therefore, because of all of the pressure from the trauma, it helps us to see a different light, which we wouldn't have seen if we didn't go through the darkness. We wouldn't have been able to grasp what could be if we didn't have anything to compare it to. If we didn't have any contrast, we wouldn't know the good from the bad. Another example would be that from the trauma, from the abuse as a child, you learned how to be empathetic towards people. You learned how to be compassionate towards people because you knew how it felt to not receive that sort of compassion and empathy towards yourself. Therefore, it could even develop into a career. You could even become a counsellor. And that is because of the abuse that you endured as a child, that you have developed these skills and these abilities to create a life that you desire. And it's all a lesson. Like, you've learned from the lesson, then you integrate it because you understand that it is a neutral experience when you think about it. Even abuse, even the worst thing you could possibly go through, is always a positive experience because it helps you see a different perspective than you would if you'd never experienced it in the first place. And if we never had any experiences that made us look in a different light and look in a different perspective, then we would just have tunnel vision all of our life, and we wouldn't know the real world. We wouldn't know what goes on in the real world. We wouldn't want to venture down certain paths because we wouldn't have had the experience, whether negative or positive, to guide us down a particular path, if that makes sense. So you need to learn how to integrate the traumas, and you could do this through journaling. You could speak to a therapist. That's all about integration, because you're going back into the trauma, you're feeling it, understanding why it had to happen for you, and then you're letting go of it. You have to let go and then make space. If you're just brushing all of this trauma under the carpet, then they're going to remain attached to your energy field. Even if you don't think about it consciously, subconsciously, they're still there, there's still attachments, and that therefore creates no room for any new experiences, any more positive emotions. So therefore you're stuck in the same pattern, repeating over and over and over again. So you're stuck in this victim mentality, which then is creating this victim experience, which is why when you're stuck in that state, when you're stuck in a negative state, you notice that things start to go wrong. You're like, oh my God, why has this happened? And then this, and then this. And it's like a domino effect, but it's because of your state of mind, because of the vibration that your energy field is emitting through the attachments on the energy field. Then that's what you're attracting. That's the experiences that you're attracting, because that's what you're experiencing. So it's just a cycle over and over again. And until you create the change that's necessary, until you acknowledge the attachments and you acknowledge the things that are blocking you and limiting you and holding you back, then there's no way to get rid of this suppressed information. So you've got to go back in time. Journaling's a huge way to do it. Or even, even if you're recording like a voice note and it's just to yourself and you're just speaking out. If you prefer to speak, if you prefer to talk, you just speak out what you went through, what you learnt from it. It is a little bit difficult at the beginning, but it's what's necessary to awaken to joy and to bliss and to experience these more positive vibrational emotions. And if your energy field is bombarded by these lower vibration emotions like shame, guilt, fear, then how are you planning on cultivating higher vibration emotions like gratitude, joy, bliss, love? How can you cultivate those emotions if it doesn't resonate with the energy field that you're currently holding and the attachments that are currently surrounding your emotional body? It's not aligning, it's not a vibrational match, so you're not going to be able to experience those emotions. So if you do want to experience love, joy, bliss, happiness, all of these things, you need to integrate those low vibrational emotions which stem from the traumas and transmute them into higher vibrational emotions such as gratitude. So that's where, when you're learning the lessons from your trauma, that's where the gratitude emotion comes into place, because you're grateful that you went through all of your experiences, because it brought you to the person that you are today, and it led you to the path that you are down today. So that's what you've got to do. You've got to transmute it. You've got to forgive. You need to forgive yourself and other people for all of the traumas. It's good as well when you're looking back on traumas to understand that everybody performs at their own level of consciousness. Not everybody has a high level of consciousness, such as love and, compassion. That is a high level of consciousness. A lot of people resonate in society from a consciousness of fear, maybe neutrality at the very highest, but yeah, in general people tend to resonate with anger and fear in society. So therefore people's actions tend to resonate with that particular vibration. So when you've gone through abuse and things like that as a child, or any sort of traumas, you need to understand that that person, as hard as it is to understand and accept and forgive, you need to forgive because they will have been taking action from a place of fear. They may have been deeply insecure. They've probably gone through things within their own life, which is not a justification. It's just a way for you to be able to forgive, for you to be able to integrate your own traumas. So it's something it's not for them, it's for you. But the only way for you to do that is to forgive them and to understand. That's all it is understanding and accepting that nobody does anything out of malice. It's all because they are vibrating at a lower level, which therefore their actions then perpetrate the emotion that they have within their own energy field. So if they obviously have a lot of shame, guilt, fear in their own energy field, then that they are going to project that onto other people. And that's where we get cycles of ancestral patterns and, family histories where it's the same thing, abuse throughout all generations, because nobody breaks the cycle. Nobody integrates the experiences. Nobody integrates the emotions. Therefore, they're just projecting, and it just continues and continues. So you have to transmute the lower vibrational emotions into gratitude. Gratitude is the number one factor for a lot of people, including myself, in order to transmute those emotions, in order to find a way to be grateful that those experiences happened, for you to move on with your life, for you to be able to forgive, for you to be able to accept that they are part of you. You integrate them. That's part of it's not part of your identity. It's neutral. So you have to see everything as neutral. All of these traumas are neutral. So in transmuting them as well, you're giving yourself power from that particular experience, because you are seeing the positive side, you're seeing the lighter side, you're seeing the higher vibrational emotions. And obviously the higher vibration, the more powerful the energy is, because the waves are vibrating faster. So, it's more powerful. It resonates at a higher frequency. So, therefore, you are cultivating more power within yourself. You are connecting more to your higher self, your soul, source, whatever you want to call it. You're connecting to that high vibrational source by transmuting those lower emotions. And that's why we've got to be grateful for all of the traumas and all of the experiences, is because they allow us to cultivate more energy. They allow us to benefit from them in order for us to figure out what we want to do with life, where we want to go, and create our own reality, and start to heal ourselves. And then we can become the person that we want to be, and therefore we will start finding our purpose. We'll start attracting the experiences we want to attract. We'll start to being surrounded by the people that we want to be surrounded by. You'll start to be able to receive love and give love more. That's how to transmute your traumas into a high vibrational frequency, such as love, gratitude, and joy. If you enjoyed this podcast, please let me know. And feel free to like the Modernized Spirituality page on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter as well. I've just created a Twitter which is called Spirit Modernized, and that's mainly based around esoteric occult information. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, follow me on Twitter as well. And I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Modernized Spirituality podcast. Don't forget to like the Facebook page, Modernized Spirituality, the Instagram page, Modernized Spirituality, and the Twitter page, Spirit Modernized. Also, if you're interested in any birth chart readings or oracle card readings or any sort of spiritual guidance or life coaching, feel free to get in touch through social media, or you can get in touch through the website, which is www.modernizedspirituality.com.